Welcome into the PrizePicks Prop Show. It's the college football edition. Friday, he's Stuart Durst at Monotone Football on Twitter. I'm MJ Govey on Twitter. We're being produced by Quan on the ones and twos here. And I'm coming live from an office, which is not where I'm usually at. So please forgive my... I love always putting up all the green screen effects and stuff. But today's just me in a simple old office. Make sure you are using PrizePicks. It's the #1 app for props. It's real simple. Use the code FTN. Promo code to get you up to $100 matched on your deposit. Stuart, it is week 9 college football. Last night, we saw the Washington State Cougars hang tough with Utah on the Palouse, and NC State pulled off a miracle, which never should have happened in the first place. So where do we stand right now going into week 9? I know we got 2 power plays we're going to ride or die with. Give me 2. But how you feeling about week 9 of college football?
You know, it feels pretty good. We've got a lot of stuff going on. It's kind of that time of year where these matchups are getting real important, right? For these teams, they're starting to look ahead at their future, the bowl games, the possible playoff berth. Some of these like Cinderella TCUs are still in it right now. So it's an exciting time. The emotions are kind of at an all-time high as well. We've got a couple rivalry games sprinkled in as well. So I'm excited to check out another great week of college football.
Yeah, I'm going to be on campus for the Michigan State game, which is a night game, 7:30 start in Ann Arbor at the Big House. So I can't wait to get out there. I'm going to be interviewing people who are going to be really drunk because anytime you get a night game, they start drinking at 7, 8 in the morning. It just gets way out of hand. It's wild. So hopefully nobody beats me up or anything like that. But it's going to be a fun time in Ann Arbor on Saturday night. But I'm not picking any of those plays for my Give Me 2 power play PrizePicks style today. But let's see who you got for your first pick, Stuart.
Sounds good. I'll start out with Garrett Schrader over 50.5 rushing yards. This is the Syracuse quarterback. For anyone that doesn't know, a team that's had a very good season so far. I was kind of thinking of how I'm going to explain this one, and I kept wanting to reference last week as a win against Clemson, right? But they obviously did end up throwing that game away, not taking the win. I think that just heightens the stakes for this matchup even more against Notre Dame. With quarterback rushing, one of the biggest things for me is always how into it are these, like how close is this game going to be? How into it are these players right now? Because in games where it's just going to be a blowout, the quarterback doesn't have that added incentive to actually put their body on the line. When we look how Schrader has done against good teams this season, he's gone over in 4 or 5 games. His one miss was really to Virginia in a very slow, boring kind of sack-heavy game where he didn't get there. But in back-to-back weeks, he's now proved himself against top-tier opponents, right? 71 rush yards versus Clemson, 81 rush yards versus NC State. I know the Notre Dame defense is good, but they haven't faced a quarterback like Schrader this season. And after proving himself, going above 70 yards in back-to-back games, I thought I was going to get this number at like 66, 65. So to see it down at 50.5, definitely caught me off guard. I think the books are overvaluing the fact that Notre Dame hasn't faced a quarterback like this season, and I expect them to kind of be in store for a wake-up call today.
Yeah, I love it. I will tell you that Notre Dame faced Drake May this season, who is even better than Schrader. I mean, he can run and throw more than Schrader can, but May torched him, so that's great news. I mean, North Carolina was in that game only because of Drake May, so I love that. If there's a similar comp, you know, and Schrader's not May. He's May light at best, but I like it. That's great. That's great news. I'm with you. Let's ride or die with Mr. Schrader. My first pick is going to the Demon Deacons of Wake Forest. I'm taking Sam Hartman over 315.5 total passing yards and rushing. This is the key. Stuart, you know I love these. I love combining the passing and rushing total, and Sam Hartman can do both. He is the absolute heart and soul of the Wake Forest offense. They're taking on Louisville, 3:30 start on Saturday. And to me, this is just a situation where Wake Forest, even when they win these games or they come up short against Clemson in an epic 51-45 overtime game, they're still underappreciated. And Sam Hartman is underappreciated. He's the kind of guy who can use his legs and his arm to rack up the totals. I think this is very, very doable. Louisville is not good. Their defense is definitely not good. So however Sam Hartman decides to do it, if he feels like, oh, you know what, I'm getting more running lanes, I'll scramble more, or a more flat-out design runs, RPOs, whatever it is, Sam Hartman can go over 315.5 total passing and rushing yards.
I like this play, man. I'm on Wake this week, so that's always good to see. And I think the quarterback is obviously a big part of that. I'm a huge Hartman guy. I'm definitely a fan of his game. He's been impressive so far this year. And once again, you already know I like to mention I do like those combos. I like, especially with a guy that can do it on both ends. Some people are more limited, in the rushing game, but this is a guy that, like you said, can break off a 60-yard run, but just as easily hit his receiver with the 60-yard pass. So Louisville defense, not something I'm, a fan of at all. So I definitely like this matchup right here.
Yeah, this is a guy who you talk about there's certain players on teams that do everything. He really is Mr. Everything for Wake Forest. Sam Hartman over 315.5 total rushing and passing. I love it. Let's get your second play, Stuart, on the power play for the PrizePicks prop show.
Sounds good. I'm going over to TCU. I'm going Kendre Miller over 96.5 rushing yards. I have to tell you, this guy's been killing me these last couple of weeks. I've been betting against TCU a solid amount this season, kind of thinking the run was going to end. But this running back has really helped it come alive. He started the season a little bit slow, wasn't super involved. They blew out two teams very easily, so he only had 9 and 13 carries. Since then, averaging 120 rush yards per game, and it really shows they trusted him when the moment was the biggest. Back-to-back matchups. Kansas State, Oklahoma State, 29 and 22 rush attempts, going for 153 and 104 rush yards in those games. I really like to see what these teams do with their star players in tough matchups, right? Who are they going to when the moment is the biggest? The thing is, TCU's been underdogs in most of these games. They've been expected to come back. They've been expected to rely on that hyper-efficient offense through the air, and that leaves less opportunity for Miller. Now that we're in a game where they're finally projected to win, they're projected to have the lead, they're going to need to keep the lead, and that involves running the ball, establishing the run, and Miller's been great. It's not like that's going to be something they're afraid of doing, right? We obviously know they like attacking through the air, but this is a guy that's very comfortable carrying the ball 20 plus times a game. So absolutely love that volume. Like I said, 125 rush yards per game over these last 5 matchups. I expect him to keep it going in a game I think they win.
Yeah, I'm actually on West Virginia on the points for the betting line, but absolutely no fear of what West Virginia can do defensively, and TCU's offense will still be a factor in that game. I think West Virginia might be able to pull the upset here because TCU's been riding high and Max Duggan has been up and down. But as far as your play here with Miller, that's a great call because West Virginia can be exposed. I like it. I like it a lot. My second play is Trevion Henderson. Now, I haven't done a lot of touchdown props on the show this season, but I'm taking Trevion Henderson in a noon kickoff, which I don't get why the Ohio State-Penn State game is a noon kickoff. That should be a night game prime time. It's a huge showdown. But hey, I don't work in television, so I don't have any say over that. But I'm taking Trevion Henderson to score a touchdown. So it's obviously 0.5. If he scores 1 rushing touchdown, we're in business, and that's what we need here. Now, the Ohio State offense is built upon the passing game. It's elite. It's one of the best offenses, period. Like in recent memory even, they're just so dominant with what they can do with C.J. Stroud and the air attack. But I'm going back to what Michigan did to Penn State a couple weeks ago when they racked up 415 yards rushing against Penn State. So I think Trevion Henderson here is going to be unleashed. He hasn't really been that huge of a factor this season, and they're going to need him to be a difference maker to win this game on the road, which I think will be a challenge. Penn State, even though they got rolled up by Michigan, they were in that game in the first half, and really they should have maybe won that game, even though the score looked lopsided. If you watched it, it just kind of got out of hand. So I'm seeing an opportunity for Trevion Henderson to score on the ground. If Ryan Day can put his head on straight and not fall in love with the pass so much, Trevion Henderson will score at least 1 rushing touchdown in a game that I expect to be, somewhere in the 20s and 30s in terms of point total on each side.
Yeah, I like going with these high-end running backs, too, in these kind of high-total games. Like you mentioned, I think what Michigan did is going to be a blueprint kind of for what this team is able to do as well. Obviously, they're not the same rushing attack, but they have the same kind of talent. That's just, like you said, not where their offense is oriented. But when you have so many amazing wide receivers, that also means the defense is going to really have to respect those wide receivers, which should mean better running lanes for our guy right here. So I'm a fan of any time you can get these touchdown, plays at reasonable odds, just because these guys are high-end talented players and teams that might score 31, 38 points in this game. So there's going to be plenty of opportunities. And I agree, Henderson's kind of in need of a bounce back, right? He had all the hype in the world to start the season out, and they haven't really been running too much. So it'll be a good chance to kind of break out in a tough road game right here.
Yeah, he set the world on fire last year with touchdowns. I think he set the Ohio State rookie or freshman record, or overall running back record with rushing touchdowns last year. He was epic. So it's going to happen sooner or later. And I like to get on guys who are really talented, like you said, who haven't quite delivered those stats. There it is. That's it. Stuart, we did it. That's the Prize Picks prop show for Week 9 college football. Make sure you use PrizePicks. The interface is elite. It's so easy to use. You can do power plays, flex plays. You can do up to 5. You can do 2. You can do 3, 4. I love it all. Stuart loves it all. Follow Stuart on Twitter at Monotone Football. Follow me at MJ Govier. Follow our producer, Quan. That's QW, Quantity Media on Twitter. He's a great follow, and he also does his own stuff. He's a very talented man in his own right. We appreciate his production effort. And that's it for the Week 9 college football Prize Picks prop show.